I'm Mike Gousha. This is Sunday Night.
Thank you, and welcome to my Whammy Award-winning show.
His name is Pat McCurdy, and last week Monday he won the Whammy Award for Best Stage Performer. McCurdy is something of a Milwaukee institution. His audiences are fiercely loyal. They even know the words to his songs by heart.
Sometimes it's a blessing, sometimes it's a curse. What? I always try to.
McCurdy has had his share of brushes with the big time. In the late 70s, he was the lead singer in a band called Yipes that was on the edge of stardom. And recently, he graced the cover of Wisconsin Magazine.
Ladies and gentlemen, guitar fireworks.
Pat McCurdy is, as they say, one of the hardest working men in show business. A big hit not just here, but in Chicago and throughout the Midwest. He's smart, witty, and one heck of a musician. We'll meet Pat McCurdy next on Sunday Night.
Hey, where's Mike?
Where's my man Mike?
Yeah!
Oh, he only works on Thursdays and later.
Watch it.
Because you know what? During the day, he's a carpenter.
Sunday Night with Mike Gousha.
And welcome again to Sunday Night. And our guest tonight is Pat McCurdy, who is a familiar face, I'm sure, to a lot of folks. I mean, Pat, you're playing, how many days out of the year do you play?
Last year, we played 347 shows on 311 nights.
So are you tired? Let's begin there.
Most of the time.
Well, is that a good life? I mean, a lot of people would say, man, that has got to be an awfully difficult routine.
It's not much life at all, really.
Really?
No. It's I wake up, I wake up late, and I think about that night's show, or sometimes we do two in one day. So I really don't have a lot of time for living. Yeah. But I guess my life consists of coming home after the show, watching television for an hour. That's I get my material for the next night.
Well, we were comparing notes because we work basically the same shifts.
Right. Except you don't have people heckling or blowing smoke in your face.
Sometimes.
Why?
You never know. But it is weird in those late hours when you're doing the old channel surfing thing. Isn't it amazing how little is on television at that
That's
hour?
right. You have 60 channels, and there's nothing on it. It's absolutely true. Infomercials. I've seen every infomercial, and what's embarrassing is you sit and watch them.
What's your favorite? You have a favorite?
I have to say, I love that Susan Powter Stop the Insanity lady.
Too much
She makes
of her.
me not want to eat any fat. It works, though. So.
Did you know that there is fat in ham? I mean, that was one of the things that she told me I had never thought of.
Well, you gotta figure.
That's what she's there for, though,
Right.
to help us out.
She's helping us late at night.
Do you draw on that kind of stuff for your material at all?
All the time. I guess that's the kind of thing. I get a lot of magazines. I get a lot of culture. And that's one of the things I use for inspiration. How it comes out in the end doesn't necessarily reflect. I don't sing a song, oh, that infomercial. I don't do that kind of stuff. But maybe a little phrase I'll hear, or something like that will set something off.
Well, let's practice some of the old classics, shall we? For us to Lucky Charms, I believe in crystal light.
I believe in me.
In the land of Dairy Queen,
We treat you right.
feeling good about yourself, feeling
Carefree.
who wants to try that?
You said Pat has been performing solo about 5, 6, 7
5
years
years now.
5 years now. And but I saw him back in Madison, back in the late 70s with a band called Yipes, which had some commercial success.
Sure.
At a show at a bar called the Church Key, which I'm not sure the Church Key is still there. And you were the opening act for Steppenwolf, and or a version of Steppenwolf.
I think they had like one original member who'd sat in with the band for 10 minutes in '68,
Were those good days? I mean, did you enjoy kind of that flirtation with the major national success more than what you're doing now, or is this more satisfying?
I have to say that what I do now is much more satisfying. One, because I have complete control. I don't have to, when we had a record contract, and I was 23, and it was like a limo ride was ecstasy. It was like, I've made it. I'm in a limousine. And we would be in New York, and we'd see Andy Warhol walking down the street. And it's like, oh, are we special?
Yeah.
But then again, you had guys saying, well, you should do this, or suggesting, you should do this with your music, Pat. And after a while, it's like really frustrating. And of course, we did it. We didn't follow our instincts. And now, that's all I do is like, it's completely instinctual, you know.
That's got to be a much better experience for you. I mean,
It's much more satisfying.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You know.
We've got, Pat has a guitar with him, and we're not using it just as a prop all night. He'll actually play it for us here. I wanted to ask you to do something from well, when people see you at the Celebrity Club, or you can do whatever you want to do. But I'd like to, start the show tonight with a number of some
Sure.
kind.
I'm going to do a song that was inspired by infomercial. How's
All
that?
right.
How's that for tying in?
Hey, that's
what we're
perfect
talking about?
segue.
Okay. Every morning when I look into the mirror, I see living proof of all my wasted youth. I sing this little song, it helps me to be strong, and all my suicidal feelings drift away. I am wonderful. I'm so wonderful. I'm a breathtaking view, a dream that's come true. It's true. I am wonderful. Yeah, I'm feeling wonderful right now. Because every day I go to work and I want to die. Cause it's boring, pointless, demeaning, and I don't know why I go on with this grind, why I haven't lost my mind, why I just don't buy a little airplane and fly. I am wonderful. I'm so wonderful. I'm spectacular. I'm marvelous. And I'm cool. I am wonderful. Ich bin wunderbar. I'm the 4th of July, a wide open sky of blue. I am wonderful. I'm the nearest thing to perfection that mankind has ever known. I'm the top of the food chain. Oh yes, I am wonderful.
Pat McCurdy, self-esteem really is the thing of the 90s, isn't it?
It sure is.
And I was thinking as you were singing that, Susan Powter, that's an influence on your life.
I guess so. And there's a new one on. I don't want to dwell on this too much, but there's a new one on. This lady comes on and tells you how to have the perfect relationship. She's I don't know I haven't seen that one all the way through, but I'm going to learn
that
something from
perfect
that.
marriage one with John
That's
Tesh
the one
and
I'm talking about.
It was that kind of
that's right. That's a different one. See?
This is great for the audience out there.
Yeah.
Those people who are not awake at 2:30 in the morning. Go,
It's an education.
What are they talking about? We're going to take a quick break. We'll continue with Pat McCurdy in just a moment.
Tonight the criminal has returned to the scene of the crime.
Week 5.
Welcome back to Ballet Folklorico, and Pat McCurdy is our guest on Sunday night. Do you love that stuff on demand when we request that you play? I mean, is that fun for you, Pat?
Yeah. Well, kinda, yeah.
Let's talk about your audience for a bit, because you have an enormous appeal with people in their 20s, and yet you're a guy like me in our late 30s. What's the connection there?
Don't ask me. I have the weirdest audience that way, because I'll play in Green Bay and there'll be all ages. I've played, I do this thing called Tribute to the 80s, where I just take 80s songs and string them together. In Green Bay a couple of weeks ago, I said, I can't do Tribute to the 80s here because there's too many people actually in their 80s in the audience. They won't get it. But so in Chicago, I have more of a late 20s crowd, early 30s, people who are working and maybe doing quite well, but still single. And in Madison, of course, I have predominantly early 20s. And for some, I'm a little cynical, but I also have a very optimistic, I think, point of view to everything I do. I'm not angst-ridden or depressive.
Do you think that characterizes a lot of your audience? I mean, they're basically optimistic,
Yeah.
but they're a little cynical about the way the world is in the future and all of that.
I think everybody's a little cynical now. It just depends on what kind of attitude you have in facing, what seems like insurmountable odds. If you really dwell on it, you'd think, oh, tomorrow the world's done.
Yeah.
But if you look at it and kind of go, well, I'll be doing okay, I'm all right, I'm happy. I'm gonna spell it for you. I'm gonna spell it out for you. Yeah, I'm gonna spell it out for you. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I'm gonna tell you how I feel. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. H-A-T-E-Y-O-U.
H-A-T-E-Y-O-U.
And you. H-A-T-E-L-E too. H-A-T-E-Y-O-U. Wow.
When you do something like you talked about with the 80s, can you give me a little sample of what that song is about when you string together things from the 80s?
I would start, and I always, in that kind of thing, because it's not something I wrote,
Right.
It's just for fun, and I want everybody to participate. So I'd start out with na 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 na. The whole audience would answer back,
Right.
na 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 na, and then I'll go into tainted love, and then I'll go into don't you want me, baby? All songs that people can sing along to and answer back to.
That we'll be singing 20 years from now, don't you
Right,
think?
right.
But
And it ends up with a climactic, we are the world.
Oh.
And everybody puts their hands in the air. Oh, it's a thrilling moment.
It's a moment. It's a moment. But you do original stuff. We don't want to mislead people.
Right.
I mean, you're a writer, 250 songs plus.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a guy who does, copies of other people's music. You don't copy.
No, I do copies for fun. I do a similar thing called the key of G. And that's where I take every song I can think of in the key of G. I put a framework around it, and everyone sings.
Are there a lot of them in the key of G?
Tons. Well, it's an easy key, see? And I do Elvis, which is my medley.
That's Elvis Costello.
That's
and
Elvis Presley, Elvis Costello.
Can you do a little bit of that? Because
I'll do the first part. All right. We'll go like this. Well, bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a man on a fuzzy tree. My friends say I'm acting white as a bug. I'm in love. Ooh, I'm all shook up. Yeah. Oliver's Army are here to stay. Oliver's Army are on their way. And I would rather be anywhere else but here too. Little sister, don't you? And on and on and on.
Yeah, I like that. I'm a big Elvis Costello fan.
Well, cool. So am I. He's one of my heroes. And it's funny because I'll play it like in Green Bay. Everyone will know the Elvis.
Yeah.
But
You're breaking
but they're
Tom
like,
Green's heart, though, when you're doing that Elvis impression. He's
I know,
saying,
baby.
there
I
goes
know
one of
that.
my gigs.
That's right,
Stop with the impression. Tell us a little bit more about your audience in terms of people who have not seen the show. Audience.
Well, I don't want to sound like the audience is elitist,
No.
you
But
know.
they're participants.
But very, very participatory, and some places more than others. In Chicago, I have a lot of actors who come to see me. Actors, comedians. Monday's their night off. Yeah, that's the night I play every week. And they just throw themselves into the show. It's just like, I can stand up there and let them do it. And it's kind of thrilling, and they like it because I'm generous with the spotlight. There's people there that do things well, I'll have them come up and I have a talent night there in
Really?
Chicago. And some of the actors got together and did It's a Wonderful Pat. What a little 5-minute play about what life would be like if I'd never been born. So it was it's the most gratifying job you could ever have. Because you get applause every night and it's so loony. Staying home from work and I don't care who knows. Tomorrow I'll be unemployed, I suppose. But you'll know where to find me. From 9 to 5 or 6, I'll be sitting on this park bench looking at chicks. Fellas? Looking at chicks.
Could you hear the testosterone in our voices there? I felt it. Now watch. Oh, a typical castrating female. But we won't objectify an entire gender.
I think it's funny that, you know, a lot of people you talk to who are in this business where you're a performer are not as willing to share the spotlight or the stage. Maybe the ego takes over, whatever, and I'm the person in the spotlight. You will listen to me. I control everything. You control, but you're willing to give some of it away.
Right.
What does that say about you as a person? I mean, you comfortable with yourself? You're
You know, I'm the one getting paid too.
hey,
So,
knock yourself out.
Yeah, I don't know what would say about myself. I just want things, especially when you play as much as I do. I want new things to happen because, as we said before, I don't have much life actually outside. Well, I have a life, but not much time. So when new things are happening in the show, and I try to change it, you know, at least weekly, try to throw in some new stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
So I can't say, and I never have been one of those, you know, listen to me kind of quiet, reflective guys. I like those kind of singers, but I'm not one of them.
Stop slurping that drink over there. You're interfering with the artistic process. We'll take another quick break. Back with Pat McCurdy in a moment. Pat McCurdy is our guest on Sunday night.
And Beethoven.
And a guy who obviously does not suffer from a sense of self-importance.
Well.
Oh, okay. But anyhow, we were talking during the break about the business, the music business today, though. And one thing you do see is a lot of people out there making substantial sums of money, Pat, who seem terribly impressed with themselves, who seem to think their message is so important. As somebody who has experienced sort of both sides of this, does it strike you as pomposity?
Well, that always has struck me as pomposity now and before. The message is just different now, and they have so many ways to make it seem more important.
Yeah.
You know, but one, by putting it on television. Television is the most important communicating device we have, and what's MTV? It's just images that, you know, you're supposed to accept. So, I don't know. I don't understand why everyone's so serious right now, though.
You opened for REM, for example, a band that obviously is a
This is when they were just their first album.
And then the front guy is a guy by the name of Michael Stipe,
Right.
who is, I don't know, very sort of into his own little world. And you've written a song about him?
Yeah. It's not ultra flattering either. But I remember part of that was because when we opened for them, even years ago when they were starting out, they were wearing ripped up clothes, and to play the show, they went into these trailers at Summerfest and changed into different ripped up clothes. So it's like, oh, I don't know, you guys. Just jump on stage and start playing. But I don't have, you know, REM, I love a lot of their stuff. I have to say that I like the songs. It's just when they get too serious and too, I don't care that much about Michael. You know, that's the thing.
Okay.
And I would hope that people wouldn't care that much about me, actually.
Right. Can you do maybe just a little bit of a Michael Stipe song?
This is a song about Michael Stipe. He's an artiste of a different stripe. He's the sensitive, silent type. And no one can brood like Michael Stipe. Let's brood.
Does he know you do that song?
No, but a fan of mine, brother, works with the drummer from REM's brother and sent him the CD, so maybe someday.
Well, maybe he has a sense of humor about it, too.
I would hope so.
Yeah, maybe.
He's rich enough, you know.
Come on, lighten up. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a song. How do you classify yourself? I know musicians hate that, and I've seen you say that it's an entertainment extravaganza.
Right.
Is that accurate? Or
I call myself a cabaret now, because there's a little bit of everything, you know.
Yeah.
I guess that's a bad description for people, but it's not strictly music, and it's not. I certainly don't tell one-liners and jokes, but it's funny, and people participate. But it's not like a folk hootenanny or anything. I don't know.
And you're successful at it. And one of the things that we talk, and I mean financially successful too. We talk to musicians who
Not as much as they might have said in the newspaper.
Okay.
That was a little high.
There was an article that said
Yeah,
substantial sum of money, but enough to make a good living at it.
right.
And some people get the feeling that all musicians are out there in Milwaukee are struggling, they're scraping to get by. True? Untrue?
I think that would be true.
Really?
And I think that, I found a niche. And I work my butt off, too.
The Cabaret,
Right.
consisting of Pat McCurdy.
Liza Minnelli, Liza with a Z. Pat with a P.
How long do you want to do this sort of thing where you're doing the solo act? I know you're playing with other bands too, but
Yeah, I have my band, too, so.
how long do you want to do this though, where you relate to the audience 1 on 400 or whatever?
I don't think that what I do is age specific. Blues guys do it till they're 100 years old. And as long as I can stand up, this would be a good thing to do, I
It's
think.
kind of a fun life.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right. I wanted to have Pat close with a number tonight, or at least a partial number, that television time thing. But I just wanted to say before we do that, thanks a lot for being here. Very quick half hour. Enjoyed it. We want to go for another hour.
Where's part two?
Yeah, back with part 2 of Pat McCurdy. Thanks for staying up late with us. I'm Mike Gousha. We'll see you again tomorrow at 5 and 10.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
I don't need money. I don't need friends. I don't need a woman. Well, maybe now and then. And I don't have to act like regular people do. I don't wear shoes, 'cause I'm artistic. I'm an artist, and I'm much better than you. When I was a baby, my mama said to me, "Oh, little Patrick, you're a genius." And I believed. And she said, "I'll protect you from the nasty old world outside, give you a place to hide, 'cause you're artistic, you're an artist, you're artistic, through and through, ha, 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 ha. I'm artistic, I'm an artist, and I'm much better than you. And the feelings that I feel are felt with much more feeling. And the thoughts that I think are thought with much deeper thinking.